evening, everyone, and we are so glad to have you here tonight. My name is Alexa Jett, and I'm with AnCan, and we want you to know that this is an interactive webinar. So if you have questions at any time, please feel free to use the question pane. You should see it on the right-hand side of your computer, and you are free to ask questions anytime during the presentation. We do have a brief disclaimer that none of what we talk tonight can be construed as medical advice. We want to give a humongous thank you to our sponsors, Myovant Sciences, Pfizer, Foundation Medicine, AnCan, Nancy's List, of course, and Bagot Cancer. We couldn't do any of this without you. Now, I would like to bring up our founder, Rick Davis.
Good evening, everybody, and I have a real pleasure tonight to introduce somebody that I first met around 2007 when I was diagnosed with cancer, and got much involved with some people at UCSF and who ran a program, an exercise program, and they said you have to meet Nancy Novack. I don't know when it was we first met, but it was sometime around then, and we kept in touch. And I have been a fan of Nancy's List for the longest time, and when I saw Nancy do a webinar about 12 months ago, it occurred to me, you know, we should get this lady onto AnCan and we should ask her to pick her favorites and present them to us. And surprisingly, nobody had ever asked her to do that before. So this is kind of Nancy's premiere. And I am going to turn it back to Alexa to talk to you. Oh, just a quick word. If you don't know AnCan, we host virtual support groups. We've been doing that since 2010 on the telephone, 2015 with video chat. We are not Johnny-come-latelys with video, with COVID. And we have groups for, I think it's 11 different conditions, mostly cancers, but not all cancers. So if you go to ancan.org and check us out, sign up. All our groups are free, drop in, and they're all peer-led. So with that, I will turn it back to Alexa.
Nancy, we're ready to rock and roll.
Well, I'm so honored to have this opportunity to be with all of you and to tell the story of Nancy's List. And when Rick talked about my favorites, it was like I was a bit befuddled, I have to say, because there are so many favorites. There's so many people that I've met along this journey of creating this website and this organization that are so dear to me. So was it about the people I met, or was it about that I somehow felt that this particular organization or this particular project was so significant in filling a need for the cancer community that it became totally a favorite. So I'll do my best. I mean, I didn't count 10, I'm just gonna go through it. I was diagnosed on April 29th, 2004. I had had pain in the right side of my belly that didn't go away for a few days. So I went to an internist and I thought I had appendicitis. And she immediately sent me for a CT scan, and I had no idea what that was. I had no idea. It took forever for the results to come back. And she called in and she said, "Do you want the good news or the bad news?" I said, "The good news." She said, "You don't have appendicitis." Yay, all right, that's great. Okay, thanks, bye. And she said, "Are you ready for the bad news?" And I went, "No." She said, "You have stage 4 ovarian cancer, and it has metastasized to your liver, and your liver is 2 times the size that's appropriate. It's more like a small watermelon. And your right ovary is the size of a grapefruit." And I said 2 what I now consider remarkable things. Well, thank goodness it's not appendicitis. What's stage 5? And don't you think it's kind of weird that they always talk about tumors in the size of fruits? Well, I did. So I was swept away to Stanford. I was living in Northern California in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I was taken to Stanford quickly to meet the man who was going to save my life. And when I entered Stanford's Comprehensive Cancer Center, I couldn't breathe. And I really felt like I was going to pass out. And this was the very moment that really has defined the rest of my life. So my friends and my family soon arrived at the bedside, and that was so sweet. And they came all over from Southern California and San Francisco, and it was very, very nice. But true to the nature of a high-powered teaching hospital, every medical student, oncologist, their fellows, seemingly every person in the Western world, also arrived at my bedside to poke and to probe, which was not so nice. So around 8:30 that evening, a man walked into my room, and it was filled with my loved ones and some shady characters in a corner that were sharpening their scalpels. Now, it was kind of weird. And this man walked in, and he looked a lot like Santa Claus. And I asked a pretty crazy question right then, but I'd been poked and probed by a bunch of strangers all day, so I didn't care. So I said, "And who might you be?" And he said, "I'm your doctor." I said, "Whew." So that was the introduction to the most incredible relationship in my world. He dismissed the scalpel people immediately and said, "Nancy's too sick for surgery. We're starting chemo immediately." So that was pretty scary. And then he said, "Yours is a very bleak diagnosis, and you have a very challenging prognosis, but I think I can help you, and I am with you." So everyone in the room heard those words, "I am with you." And there was a communal sigh and big tears. And those 4 words became the most important words in my world. And they changed my life forevermore. And then he said something that still blows my mind. He said, "When your friends and your family go home tonight and you think about today and you're overwhelmed, please call me. Here's my home phone number." So guess what? I did call him at 2:30 in the morning. And he was as kind and caring in that phone conversation as he has been throughout my cancer experience. He's honest, he's available, he's real. And I wish that everyone was so fortunate to have that kind of a trusting relationship with their oncologist, as I was truly blessed to have. So he saved my life. He brought meaning to my cancer journey and to my existence. He was so committed to my healing that I understood so much more about the healing process. And if he were that committed, so was I. And I did whatever he told me to do. And I began to really understand with this man what it means to trust. I found that I trusted him implicitly, and I never ever felt alone in my cancer world. Trust is so important, I think, in the whole dynamic of healing. And it allowed me to open my heart. And I was stunned by the amazing generosity of strangers. These wonderful, compassionate, sensitive nurses in the infusion room. I call them the angels. The patients who rooted for one another to get well and really cared. And to my friends and loved ones who walked the walk and held my hand and my heart. And they called themselves Nancy's 18. So this was a great transformation right away. It was an opening of my heart and letting all this, receiving all these blessings and these wonderful acts of kindness that were coming my way, and just living with that. And I do believe that I'm here today, and my life was saved because my heart was wide open. And to be working with an oncologist who related to me with psychological mindedness was beyond my wildest dreams. I'm a clinical psychologist, and he just understood me, and it was a beautiful thing. So it probably helped when he said the first few days, if you're on antidepressants, double them, and if you're not on them, get on them. And find yourself a solid psychologist, preferably one who has experienced cancer. This will be a rocky road, and you will need all the support in the world. And that was very clear. And when my sister asked him once about my diet and my love of ice cream and suggesting that I needed to change my wicked ways, and he said back to her, I don't think this is a time to deprive Nancy of any pleasure. So I think his humanity came forth all the time. If only every oncologist understood the importance of emotional healing, well, the world would be a better place. So he brought to the mix relationship and trust and a psychological context, and I responded. I did a ton of aggressive chemo sessions. I had a gazillion scary issues and some tough times. But I never did the debulking surgery, which is the MO for ovarian. At the end of 2 years of treatments, a lot of them, I did a laparoscopy to remove my ovaries and my tubes. I went dancing that night, and I have never had a recurrence in 17 years. So I was filled with immense gratitude, and I wanted to make a difference for people who are living with cancer and for those who love and care for them. And I wanted to create a community of kindred spirits who could support one another through the cancer story. So in 2006, I launched Nancy's List, which is a nonprofit. And I saw this as my love letter to the universe, my expression of gratitude for my miraculous recovery from stage 4 cancer and my deep appreciation for my amazing life. And my guiding force and my profound wish and my passion all the time has been, no one will ever go through cancer alone. So the first thing I started to do was really respond to what happened to me in the infusion rooms. And I created what is called the Financial Assistance Project. And it was a knowing that the financial stresses that we experience as cancer patients just get in the way of healing. It's that simple. So, and during my many long aggressive chemo sessions, whenever I had the opportunity, I invited my fellow sisters and brothers in the infusion room to tell me their stories. And one thing I think many have experienced is that there's an instant intimacy in the cancer world. People tell the truth. People are so super honest and open, and why not, right? And I've so appreciated that they let me into their lives. And it was very deep and honest space that we went to together. So more than expressing a fear of dying, they worried the very, very most about money. The lack of funds to cover the enormous medical expenses and their medications. They suffered distress if they told their oncologist that they had little money, they'd be turned away and wouldn't be treated. If they even had insurance, they didn't think they had enough. They worried about telling their employers, and losing their jobs. And they worried about basic living expenses. Some told me they had to choose between buying medications and putting food on the table. And they chose the food, but they never told the doctors that they weren't taking their meds. They worried about their children. They worried about uncertainty, about how long, how big, how bad would their financial crisis be. And they feared they'd go bankrupt. And one man told me he considered suicide because he was a financial burden to his family. They were experiencing so much fear, so much anxiety, and it was about money. And that was so unacceptable to me, and certainly unthinkable in this country. So I made a vow. I knew that financial support was out there somewhere, and I was determined to find it, find the money, and make that information available and accessible to the cancer community. So I went about doing research and finding resources and meeting amazing people, as I did, who wanted to be part of this whole project. And I created this project that was to be a resource to be used by practitioners and healing centers and social workers and patient navigators. It all reflected the immense need to address the critical importance of financial support to the healing process. So my wish was to connect persons who are living with cancer with the appropriate financial resources so that they can do what they need to do, and that's focus on healing. So I organized the resources by different categories. And the first was specific populations, looking at everything I could find for African Americans, Asian Americans, children, Latinos and Latinas, LGBTQ, Native Americans and teens and young adults. And I just want to point out a couple of these organizations that I think are superlative, that just really do their work. And Sister to Sister, which is an international group as well as a local group, is a great group and is part of the Women's Cancer Resource Center in Berkeley, California. And they offer support and safe and welcoming camaraderie to the African American Black women. And they have a support work group that meets every week. They have cancer education, wellness programs, community outreach. It's a really wonderful group. In the children's group, I want to mention two that I really like. One is Alex's Lemonade Stand. And if Alex's Lemonade Stand, if we click on this, I think we can do this. Can we do this? Well, we don't have to do that. Okay. So they're supporting families and raising awareness and funding research. Another one that is definitely top of my list is Family Reach, which provides financial assistance for pediatric and young adult cancer patients. And they can help with mortgages or rent or utilities, auto-related expenses, childcare, treatment-related travel, hospital, parking even, prescription meds, any other medical cost. So moving into teens and young adults, which is a big focus of mine, is the SAM Fund. And this is the same SAM Fund that we hear about a lot. And they're really giving grants to survivors who are ages 21 to 39 to help with medical bills and living expenses, educational and professional development, graduate tuition, student loans, cosmetics or reconstructive processes, health insurance supplementations, mental health, physical therapy, residual medical expenses, transportation related expenses, legal expenses, rent, everything. They're wonderful. Another one I really like is the Almond Cancer Fund. And they are connecting young adults and their loved ones who are all affected by cancer. And they have, you know, as many of us are all doing virtual work these days, but they have on-site as well as remote navigation programs to access resources, treatment information, tips on communication with doctors, how to work well in a support group. They also offer college scholarships to young adult cancer survivors. And then I get into what I call quality of life issues here in the next category I want to look at, which is next focus I want to look at, and it's all by categories actually. And it's, some of these things just blew my mind as I was going through it, because the people that are involved, there are so many of them who are working so hard and are so determined to make the world work for the people living with cancer. So if we go to the category camps, can you go down a little bit to where it goes by category? Anyway, I can read it to you. That's specific, and then here we go. There you go. So it's camps for kids, teens, young adults and their families, co-pays, health insurance, other medical expenses, food, general living expenses, legal resources, medication assistance, retreats for adults, scholarships, transportation, travel expenses, lodging, wish fulfillment. Some of these are just what they are, but some of them just blow my socks. And that's particularly true for the camps. camps for the kids, the teens, the young adults, and their families. They're the kids. That's what they look like. They're all about fun at camp. They're really about fun, but also camp goes far beyond fun and the joke telling and the crazy games. Camp matters, and it really matters to kids who are battling serious illness. The Yale Child Study Center found out that those kids who attend camp during their cancer treatment showed improved confidence, higher self-esteem, greater sense of independence, increased interest in social activities. Pretty good. And the children's stress related to their illness decreased as a result of the camp experience. There are hundreds of camps for kids and their family members, and they're outstanding adventure camps for teens and young adults. This is where I blew my socks. This is a real phenomenon. Most of these camps are totally free. I mean, the kids, I would say practically everything about these camps are totally free. These camps, with few exceptions, are not financed by foundations. They are funded by their communities, sometimes very small rural communities, who work together to make camp happen for kids. These are amazing people. They provide the safe environment. They fundraise. They are counselors. They're cooks and bottle washers. They're doctors and nurses and social workers. They volunteer. They do everything they can to make each camper feel comfortable and fearless and courageous. They understand the power of camping for this population and the emotional healing that comes with the sense of that you're not alone. You can make new friends who truly know who you are, and others share your fears and your uncertainties. There's always hope, and that singing a camp song and making s'mores with your friends under a starry sky, that's fantastic. So even if you're not searching for camp for someone you know, check this directory, because the pictures of some of these camps just are wonderful. They're just gorgeous camps. I don't know if I can click that, and I think these kids benefited. A lot of the kids I work with in Northern California went to camp together, and they had extraordinary experiences of support and love and friendship. One of the camps I really like is Camp Keeson. And Camp Keeson is all around the country. It's a nationwide community that's driven by passionate college students. And they support children through and beyond their parents' cancer. So Keeson is one of the largest national organizations dedicated to supporting children impacted by a parent's cancer at no cost to the families. And there was a quote that I got from a Keeson parent that said this to me: "This program was a huge step in our family's healing process. At home, everyone's trying to be strong for each other, so things go unsaid. Camp Keeson offers children a place where they can open up about the feelings. They can cry together, support each other, and most importantly, they have fun together. They learn they're not alone. I'm so grateful I was told about Camp Keeson." So another one that I think you all should know about is Camp Okaizu. And for 35 years, Camp Okaizu, which is in Northern California in the Redwoods, has offered support programs to families who have a child diagnosed with cancer. And it's become a second family and a home away from home to thousands of children, their siblings, and the parents. And the mission of Okaizu is to help all families affected by childhood cancer to heal through peer support, mentoring, recreational programs. Courage and hope are plentiful, and friends abound. Children get to discover that they're children first and not just cancer patients. And I especially appreciate about Okaizu, which is true of some other camps as well, is that they have the camp for the kids. They also have a sibling camp. They also have family camp. They have bereavement camps. I think it's really, really a special place. So one of the parents wrote me a note that says, it almost makes you want to cry. "Going through this feels like we've been in a war zone. Okaizu is a place of joy, peace, and tranquility. It's very healing to be in a beautiful setting and to play together. We spend so much time in the hospital, and this is the antidote. It helps us relearn how to relax and be a family. So another camp I want to point out to you, I'm going to see if I can make this happen. I can't. Is First Descents Outliving It. That's what it's called, First Descents Outliving It. And this is all across the country. Can you keep going? I'll see if we can get there. These are life-changing outdoor adventures for young adults between 18 and 39 who are impacted by cancer and other serious health concerns. So they are a recognized leader in outdoor experiential programming. And these kids, it's all free, they free, empower them to climb, paddle, surf, to reclaim their lives and connect with others doing the same. Okay, can we roll it down, show some pictures? Maybe? Okay. They have outdoor adventures, they have skill development, they have, here we go. We're gonna get some pictures? No? All right. They ensure individualized care, medical attention, supportive experiences with fellow survivors, and it's all free. So these, you see these kids. I mean, this is like, gets very exciting. And let's go keep going and show them some of the amazing projects that they do. And they're all across the country, and they're pretty cool. So this person who went there, this young person, okay, as you can see, they do some serious climbing. And this young man said to me, I did not expect to form intense lifelong bonds with participants at camp, but that was exactly what I needed. The physical challenge of surfing allowed me to reconnect with the active, vibrant person I was before cancer. While the doctors and medicine may have saved my life, First Descents taught me how to live again. Pretty cool. So they're, you know, they have big 5-day, week-long, 2-week different adventure camps. You pick the ones, and some of them are just being in the city of New York doing adventure. So it's really wonderful. And if you can look at the photographs of these happy people, it's just, it tells you why I love camps for these people. So they're all over. Whoa. I'm carrying someone on. All right, so that's a good one. Camp Make a Dream in Montana is great for several different reasons. It's good for the kids. They also do family camps. They do all kinds of wonderful things. And the stories I've heard from campers of grappling with heavy emotions and accepting their lives as they are is only one side of the coin. The other side contains that their tales of discovery with friends by their sides, friends who have more in common than they ever thought possible. And they empower survivors and their families to live with and beyond cancer. That's live with and live beyond. That's one of their mottos. They're in Montana. They strengthen skills, they gain resilience, they develop lasting relationships, which have such an importance in their whole way of dealing with their cancer thing. So that's Make a Dream right there. Cancer at Make a Dream isn't the obstacle. The climbing wall is the obstacle. And camp gives children at various stages a chance to challenge themselves, try a new craft in the art studio, go horseback riding, maybe for the first time. And they create safe places where kids get to express their emotions, but they also see that others have triumphed in the face of some of the same hardships. There's another one I'm just going to add to this, which I love, is called Victory Junction Camp in North Carolina. And it's free from the confines of disease, illness. Children discover they can just be kids. And Victory Junction's medically safe, all these camps have medical staffs there who volunteer to be there with these kids. They get to find out all kinds of things. They conquer activities like zip lining and archery or bowling, fishing, or swimming. They build confidence, and they build that will shape how they view the rest of their lives. And Victory Junction, I particularly love, it's all about NASCAR racing, and the whole theme of the thing is NASCAR. It's in North Carolina. And so the camp looks like and sounds like the feel of a real racetrack. And they have a water park, they have a miniature golf course, a ropes course, zip line, bowling alley, paddle boats. Victory Junction, one reason I'm so fond of that one, it's one of the 14 camps called Serious Fun Children's Network, which was founded by Paul Newman. And he has a growing global community of independently managed and financed camps and programs for children with serious illnesses. So places where they can discover joy and confidence and a new world of possibilities, all free of charge. So the benefits of camp extend far beyond the fun of a summer week or a family outing. These benefits have positive life-changing impact on these children. And the Victory Junction experience fosters independence, inspires confidence, builds self-esteem for these campers who enter. So I'm a true believer that this is a wonderful, wonderful experience for these kids. And there's so many of them. I mean, practically every state in the country has one, and I've broken it down by the state. You just click on a link and you'll see pictures from wherever you want. Okay, so I'm gonna move a little bit quickly here to general living expenses, which is not the fun part, but it's what we have to deal with. There are many federal and state programs that provide financial benefits. And there's my guy, cute. And I posted so many, and I'm not going to go through them all because you'll be bored. But there's something I do, a couple ones I really do want to tell you about. One of my favorites is called Cleaning for a Reason. And this offers free professional house cleaning and maid services for men and women who are going through cancer treatment. The foundation recruits professional residential maid services that are insured and bonded, and they perform background checks on everybody. The maid service partners are in all 50 states, DC, Canada. They offer 4 free cleanings once a month for 4 months. They work it all out with the application and getting the doctor verification and matching the patients with the appropriate housekeeping. I think that's really smart. The Patient Advocate Foundation is another really special place. They provide professional case management for persons who are with chronic disease. And these managers serve as active liaisons between the patient and the insurance company, the employer, the creditors to resolve any kind of job retention, insurance issues, debt crisis matters. They have a staff of doctors and healthcare attorneys working with them. So that's another piece of things that can happen when you have cancer. And it's so nice to know that there are professionals out there who are willing to do this work for us. Another one on there that I think is really special is medication assistance. And so many people are not taking their meds because they can't afford their meds. And that's craziness. There are so many organizations that are giving out medications at a huge discount, sometimes even free. And I've listed dozens of them that you can go for. The one I like the most, and aside from many pharmaceutical companies, also have assistance programs for the medications that they produce. And they can provide co-pay assistance to people who have health insurance to pay for their out-of-pocket cost. And they can also provide prescription drugs at no cost to individuals without health insurance or Medicare. So needy meds, right there, is one that I'm particularly fond of because I like them. And they're very generous, and they help people out in so many ways. And so many times they say, just tell everybody about us. We've got all this stuff and we can't give it away fast enough, you know. So you can find out all about what medications they cover and how to get, also they can refer you to free or low-cost clinics. They have a discount drug card that works. They're totally committed to education. And they give webinars all the time about issues that are really relevant to our stuff. Back to one of my quality of life ones. This is a little wonderful secret that so many people don't know. It's called free retreats. Free retreats. Now, not all of them are free, but most of them are. And they're retreats for women only. They're retreats for women and men. They're retreats for families. And they're in glorious places. It's the feeling I have about it is that cancer is an enormous challenge. And sometimes it's just, you just gotta get away from reality and take some time off and go inside. And it can help to have the support of other cancer patients who are focused on the same issues you are. And it's absolutely amazing to me how just the right group of like-minded individuals seem to coincidentally come together when healing is chosen, and each receives exactly what he or she needs at that time. So some have a nominal cost, but they're all extraordinary. And one of the ones that I think for women it just fascinates me, it's called Casting for Recovery. And Casting for Recovery this is for breast cancer women, and they receive emotional, physical, and social support. They enhance the lives of women with breast cancer by connecting them to each other through the therapeutic sport of fly fishing. Pretty cute. Can't Make a Dream, I mentioned earlier about for the children, but they also have free 4- and 5-day retreats in Missoula, Montana. And they have one for ovarian cancer survivors retreat, and they have women's cancer retreat. For women and men, there are quite a number of them, and I can't mention them all, but there's just so many. One that is not free, in fact, it's pretty costly, but it's very, very special. It's called Commonweal Cancer Help Program, and this is in Bolinas, California, right on the ocean, pretty pretty. And this is a week-long retreat. And the goal there is to help the participants live better whenever possible, where possible, longer lives. They address the unmet needs of people with cancer, including balanced information on choices in healing, mainstream and complementary therapies, exploring emotional, spiritual dimensions of cancer, discovering that illness can actually lead to a richer and fuller life, and experiencing genuine community with others facing cancer. So this is a lovely place. The retreats are very small. People bring their partners oftentimes. This one's not free, but it's good. Another one I like is Send It Foundation, which is outdoor adventures, again, for young adults. And they create a place to play, to sweat, to connect, and have fun outdoors. Most of their adventures are in Lake Tahoe and San Francisco Bay Area, and go around surfing and skiing and biking. All food, gear, lodging, everything is free of charge. So I could go on with these because I'm so happy about these, but I just have to give my heads up to the people who put these together, who work so hard to make it happen and deliver extraordinary experiences for children as well as families and young adults and everyone. So that's pretty cool stuff. Another thing that I'm very happy about is scholarships, which was brand new news to me, how much is available for kids who are living with cancer, for them to complete their education, to get full scholarships to schools, as well as grants for more parts of their educational experience. So these are for kids who have lived with cancer themselves or that are the children of parents who had cancer. So I think it's pretty impressive. One of the things I just want to touch upon, and then we'll move on quickly, is wish fulfillment organizations. And I have to say, you know, they fill a need, and I get requests practically daily from someone who says, can you make my wish come true? And I wish I could make their wish come true, but I send them off to these wonderful organizations who want to help kids and grown-ups have their wishes come true. So they can have big dreams or little dreams. Many of them want a family vacation with the families that they haven't seen and to bring them all together. Or they need some item that they can't get to and they want to purchase, the foundation to purchase that. There's quite a number of these for children as well as for adults, and it's something just, I think if you spend some time on this website thinking about the work and the courage and the commitment that so many people have made, you know they're angels. They're just angels, and blessing to them. So next on my thing was to go to types of cancer and to break it down to all the different types of cancer and note financial assistance programs for each one of those. And that goes from bladder cancer, brain, breast, colon, oh, there you go. All these. And so there are resources for in any of those things. I also put in, okay, so this is, to me, I'm always looking for information or tips from survivors or healing professionals of how to deal with the financial situation that they're facing. And what I found out, I had two experiences in my own personal life that made a difference. I was working in San Francisco. I'm a clinical psychologist, and this client came to me, one of my clients came totally distressed, and she's holding this extraordinary bill that she received from the local hospital where she had had a small cancer procedure, and the bill was huge. And she was a college student, and she didn't have insurance, and she didn't have any funding. So I suggested that she goes to the finance director at the hospital and simply say, I can't pay this bill. I'll pay you $5 a month for the rest of my life to handle this responsibility. And much to our delight and surprise, the director smiled and said, that's a deal. So that was a pretty good one. And a personal experience, when I was treated for cancer, I had a very fancy PPO, a Blue Shield PPO, but it did not cover many of my treatments, and I had a lot. So I received statements from Stanford in the tens of thousands at a time. And it was just the joke. And I finally found out that there was a financial assistance program at my hospital, which is true in every hospital. And I negotiated the bills successfully. And I want to send this message to everyone here. My tip is you can negotiate anything in a hospital. They will not turn you away because you don't have money. You've got to know this, and you've got to also know that at the very beginning of your cancer path, or whatever we want to call it, you know how everybody comes to you and says, how can I help? What can I do? And this is me. Choose somebody who is skillful and say, I'd like you to handle my financial issues. Dealing with the hospital, dealing with my paperwork, paying my bills, whatever. I'd like you to do that for me. That would be a great service. You will be very relieved if you don't have to deal with that. And someone can do that for you. So at the same time, I would immediately have that person find out. If that person doesn't exist, someone else will do it for you, but find out who the social worker is, and the patient navigator, or the financial assistant director at where you're being treated, and get on terms with them from the beginning, so you have some idea what you're dealing with and some ways to make it less painful. Okay, so that's going to, oh no, it's not at all. Okay, this is where I think I hit the right button. When COVID came along, I started looking and to see what am I going to do for all my people who have cancer in the time of COVID, who all felt very vulnerable, and just because they are. And so I started researching cancer foundations, support organizations, and if we just roll down this if we can, Alexa, and I'll show you what's on here, because this is like significant. Can you? Yeah, I guess not. Anyway, yeah, okay, can we just, okay, a little bit more. You will see that, okay, here you go. So this goes and goes and goes of all these organizations that have been responsive to the needs of cancer people during the time of COVID and have set up assistance programs. I want to give this information because this is so important. This is a very fluid list and it changes all the time. And when people call and they said, oh, they said they don't have any money right now. And I said, okay, don't take them off your list. Just keep calling them back once a week, because sometimes they get money, and they're so eager to put it into your hands. So that's very important, is just don't give up. I know applying is boring. Maybe you can find somebody in your team who can do some of that for you. But this information needs to be shared so people know exactly, like here's some questions about how you deal with credit cards or how you deal with student loans, and there's places to go that can help you during COVID or during any time to deal with some of the big financial issues that we face. So moving on to another one of my projects, is that I've always been interested in what makes people heal. Now, did you sit under a lotus blossom tree, or did you, people ask me this all the time, and I don't really have the answer to that. But what I know is that you heal in mysterious ways. And some of that is by the medicine, some of it is beyond the medicine. And I think that I became very, very interested in the soulful part of healing and the emotional part of healing, as well as the physical. And I started studying integrative cancer care to find out what that is. And the Society for Integrative Oncology gives this definition. Integrative oncology is patient-centered, evidence-informed field of cancer care that utilizes mind and body practices, natural products, lifestyle modifications from different traditions alongside conventional cancer treatments. So they treat disease, but they're doing it through other complementary approaches, such as diet or mind-body approaches. So I realized that I wanted to educate cancer patients and those who love and care for them and their medical teams about the availability of practitioners and modalities in the communities in which they live who would support healing through integrative modalities. So I developed this directory, and it's huge. And if the directory there, yeah. And we have hundreds and hundreds of people around the country who are offering their services. These are not for free all the time, but they give discounts if you're on Nancy's list, for almost anything and everything. And so I split it down by state, but at the same time, you see, I even have somebody from Kenya. Same time, many of these people work virtually. So there's a whole huge listing at the bottom of virtual. Well, anyway, you'll find how many people do offer their services from therapy to, they can do healing, all kinds of healings virtually. So just to tell you real quickly what's in there. So this includes practitioners who offer yoga, qigong, acupressure, acupuncture, applied kinesiology, aromatherapy, art therapy, naturopathic therapy, counseling, health, wellness coaching, cranial sacral therapy. I could keep going, but we don't have enough time for that. So I've been blessed with meeting many of these dedicated healers, and they have a passion for their work and a profound respect for what they're doing to deepen the healing process for cancer patients. I invite integrative practitioners to promote their practices on this list, as well as healing centers to do the same thing. And I will post their profiles. And if you looked at any one of these, it has a picture of the practitioner and a lot of information about her credentials and what kind of work he or she is doing. And they don't have to pay anything to be on this website. So I don't know where my time is, darling. I'm just gonna say a couple things more and then can we open it up? Alexa?
Good, Nancy.
Okay, so a couple more things that I have on there are about stories, because I think stories heal. And I want to use the experiences of the authors and myself to bring a sense of hope and healing and belonging to a greater community through stories. So there are many stories of hope, and there are many stories of gratitude, and I'm always looking for more because they resonate with our spirits. And hopefully they will contribute to your healing as you do this. These are some of the stories. And the last thing I want to share right now is that is a book that I wrote with 42 other writers who are living with cancer, be it their own diagnosis or that of someone they love. And the book is called I Am With You. And go down, just there it is. So this is a very powerful book, and my intent was to write it for newly diagnosed patients, but people who are going through treatment find it to be very valuable. And when I was diagnosed, as I told you at the beginning, my oncologist said, I am with you. And those 4 words meant everything. And I thought it was totally appropriate to have that as the title of the book. So this is my love letter expressing gratitude. And it's the love letters from different authors who are writing to amazing cancer patients everywhere. And we hope that people will realize that no one will ever go through cancer alone. And these messages of support and inspiration and hope hopefully inspire courage and the will to live. And we talk from our own experience. We share connection and wisdom and support and compassion and pragmatic ways to get through it. There's even a section called What I Did to Get Through the Night. And what's happened with the book is that friends give copies of the book to their friends, hospitals give them to newly diagnosed patients. And it's a really fine book. And one survivor told me that she carries her copy with her all the time. And I said, why? She said, it gives me courage when I feel weepy. That was so much. So it's a very lovely book. So for me, cancer changed everything. It generated my growth. It gave me a purpose. It gave me a passion. It taught me the essence of gratitude. And it deepened my calling and what I want to do in my life and refined that. And it gave me the opportunity to offer hope when people had lost theirs. And I found courage, I found resilience, and I always embrace the generosity of strangers. And this is my expression of profound gratitude for my life. And I know I'm extremely lucky, and I am with you.
Well, thank you, Nancy. That was very inspirational, amazing. We had
Amazing.
so many sites. I think it's gonna be a real task for Alexa and some other folks to put them all together. But we will extract most of those sites, and we'll make a list of them, and eventually we'll get to post them. One of the things that I did want to come back to, you spent a lot of time talking about the camps for kids, but we have a lot of adults on here, and you briefly mentioned the camps for adults. I've run across a adult camp recently. It's for men only, unfortunately. But we had somebody there last week, and turns out we've had several guys go, called Real Recovery, but it's spelled REEL, Real Recovery. And we'll send you the link, and you can put them on there. But I'm going to share my screen for a second. I can't do that, can I? I forget. I'm not in GoToMeeting.
I'll make you a presenter.
And then how do I share my screen? Just click on that screen.
It will pop up.
It will pop up.
It
And
will pop up.
so I've got a picture of one of our guys. Are we sharing my screen yet?
We are.
We are. Well, which screen are you seeing?
We're seeing a picture of a fish.
Ah, okay. Well, that's the right thing, except I can't see that screen because my screen's dead on there. I put it on there hoping to see it, but along there somewhere, and I don't know, maybe I can pull it off, is a picture of the person that caught the fish. So maybe let me see if I can find the picture of the, but he's on our advisory board, and we can stop sharing my screen right now. But that's a fish that he caught. He fell in the water when he was catching that fish. And that's Real Recovery, and there's no cost to it. You have to get yourself to the camp. They're all over the country. And I just wondered to what extent some of these adult camps, are there more adventure adult camps? Or
I think, okay, when you go through the list of retreats, they could be called camps too. You know, I think when we did it with this format, we did camps for kids because that's what we understand, and family camps. But I think there are quite a few retreats that would qualify. You could call them camps. And fishing is an interesting sport. I mean, there are a lot of women's groups that are out there reeling away, you know, and it's like fun. I would never have thought of that, but I got impressed, excited.
Well, I've got a job for you, and the job is to find one of those camps for Alexa, because she wanted to go on Real Recovery, but it's men only on Real Recovery.
Okay.
And we need a fishing camp for our Alexa.
Yeah, you're gonna have to leave Texas though.
So,
okay.
What do you think, Alexa? Or would you rather be doing something else on your adventure trip?
You know what? I saw with Nancy's list that there were so many options. I'm not limited.
Oh, okay.
I am not limited. So that doesn't mean, you know, and that's for our audience too. These are all for you to take advantage of. And when I first met Nancy told me about how all of these resources are out there, but some people just may not know, or their social worker or nurse navigator or their hospital system may not tell them, which is why Nancy's list is such a great resource for this community. Because if you want to go fly fishing one weekend and then plan your weekend at the beach, you can do that.
Yes. Yeah. And there's so much more than that I couldn't address, but I think that just even reading it, it's inspiring to see what people have come up with. You know, these great camps in Utah and Montana for kids that they're horseback riding, and they're doing all these kind of things that they would never have considered. So it's important to get this information out, and I appreciate that.
And Nancy, on that particular note, and I'm going to share my screen again. When we first met, we started talking, you told me one of your favorite things that you've ever done in your life. And you know what I'm referencing, and that is Nancy's Club. And I wanted to share some pictures of the children. And I think our audience would love for you to talk about it a little bit.
Well, yeah, this is a very touching one, and we're all going to go for it. It's Nancy's Club. Yeah, this is for the children who are living with cancer. And what's initiated this is that I'm a psychologist, I said that already, and I work in family systems. So I get a lot of children as well as grown-ups and everything, which is great. So, and I also witness the powerful trauma that these kids with cancer are going through. So one week I had two new clients in my practice, and they were children who spoke the truth. And this little girl was 12 years old, and she had been adopted from Tijuana by California parents, and she lost her father to cancer. And she was terribly worried that her mother was battling breast cancer for the second time. And she asked me, if my mom dies, will I be an orphan again and be sent back to Mexico? The next day, this little boy comes in. He's another 12-year-old named Johnny. That's not his real name. And he said, my mom is sick again with cancer for the third time. And my dad's drinking like a fish. And I'm afraid they're both going to die. Help me find a way to make him stop drinking. He won't listen to me. So my heart was really hurting. And I realized that these kids, those who love someone with cancer or those kids who are living with cancer, need a break. They need a break from cancer. They need to have fun and share joy and make memories that stay in their hearts forever. So this program was Nancy's Club. And our mission was that no child or teen will ever go through cancer alone. One little boy said, I don't want to go to a shrink. I'm not going to any support group because that's not cool. But to fit a fun club with adventures with kids just like me, that's way, way cool. So these kids, and there were probably 50 different kids. They didn't all come at the same for all the different adventures, but they listened to each other. They were fascinated with each other. They became each other's support team. It was amazing. And sailing became their favorite thing to do. And we were living on the San Francisco Bay. And through partnerships with local sailors and organizations and volunteers, we introduced all these kids to the healing power of the sea. And the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, was so spectacular. They totally embraced our project. They gave generously so we could just play and laugh. We went to the Giants games, the Oakland A's games, the 49ers games. We went to live performances at local theaters. We were just gifted with all kinds of wonderful opportunities. We had picnics on the beach. Some kids went kayaking. There's a little girl named, a little 9-year-old girl with leukemia. Most of these kids either had leukemia or brain cancer. This little girl said, when I'm sailing with my brother and my mom, I forget I even have cancer. And one father watched his daughter had sarcoma in her jaw, and she was behind the wheel of the boat at one point and smiling. And he said, my daughter never smiled. She's never smiled in months. I thought it was all about the cancer. Now I know it's because she's so unhappy. And now I see she's happy. And there was one, I mean, I get emotional about just saying these stories because these kids were so amazing. And at one of these big beach parties, it was just a big feast for the kids. And this little boy was eating hamburger after hamburger after hamburger, you know, just scarfing this stuff down. And the other children were ready to go back on the boat. And I said to them, we're going to stay. As long as this little boy was happily eating, we're going to go. And his dad came up to me and he said he was so worried because his son was no longer eating. And now I am watching him eat and he's happy and he hasn't been eating. Now I know he'll live. So one of the sisters of one of my favorite little girls said the happiest part of my day, she was 15 and her sister was 6 and had a real tough case of leukemia. And she said, The happiest part of my day is watching Ivy have a happy day, because she doesn't have many happy days. And her mother said to me, they came on every boat trip, when we're with Nancy's club, gratitude takes a front seat, and human connection is the only thing that absolutely matters. And I love Nancy's club, and the club has saved Ivy's spirit and probably her life. So I'm very proud of this project, because we had wonderful times. The kids were great. They got courage, they got resilience, they got loving friendships, and they loved to frolic, and it was wonderful. And I still hear from these kids, and they're all grown up and they're all alive and well, and they want to tell me a memory. You know, it's just like, it's really sweet. I would love to be helpful in making this project happen in every community. I think it would be adventure camps for the children who are going through cancer, adventure days, they're not camps, but something for the kids to look forward to every weekend where they can be kids. So I'm willing to help anybody who wants to do that. I think it's pretty amazing.
So Nancy, is that a call to action?
No, that's a different project.
Oh, okay.
That's how it all began. Okay, you want that one too? Okay, here we go. I like this one so much. I was living in Mill Valley, which is in Marin County, right across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco. And there was an especially high rate of prostate and breast cancer in the community, and nobody knew why. And they were doing all these testing. They pulled the soil out from the football field at the high school to see if something was going on there. Then they finally decided that women were drinking too much white wine, and that's why we had this epidemic of breast cancer. Anyway, there was an underlying fear about what's going on here, you know, and so many people. So quite serendipitously, 6 women independently came to see me for therapy. And each one of them had friends who had been recently diagnosed with breast cancer. And they were strong, healthy women in their early 30s, and they were yogis, and they were vegans, and they ate kale, and they were soccer moms, and they thought they were invulnerable. This was, you know, and so they were angry and scared and depressed. So I cooked them healthy meals, somewhat kale, and we brainstormed about what we could do. And they called themselves Nancy's Angels, which I thought was kind of hilarious. So I envisioned a call to action to develop a community partnership to meet the crisis of cancer in our community. And we knew we couldn't rely on the healthcare system to solve everything. And we knew that we could rely on our humanity. So we could reach out and we could support the courage and the bravery and the resilience of our neighbors. So 30-year-old people, they planned a great big party. And we were going to tell the San Francisco Bay Area and all the newspapers and everybody we could touch about what we wanted to do. So at the first Love Fest, I called it, I said to the large number of guests, and there were like 600 people at that party, it takes a village to deal with the enormity of the cancer crisis in our community, and I want to build one. So I placed clipboards all around the room with asking everyone for signups to drive neighbors to medical appointments, to babysit their children, to walk their dogs, to prune their roses, to prepare and deliver healthy meals, just whatever. And everybody got it. And they signed up and they showed up, and it was phenomenal. And families adopted families on their blocks, and teens gave rock concerts and tennis tournaments to raise money for these families. Students at one high school prepared wonderful meals for cancer families and took them on Friday night. I thought that was party night, but no. And they spent hours with the families. They tutored their children. They created long-term friendships as well as support, and they stayed with the same families for a year or more. And we started community forums. I think this is how I know Rick. We started community forums on nutrition, and we set up exercise programs and many of the health clubs, and we offered free massages and Pilates and yoga and energy classes, and rock musicians gave awesome concerts, and local markets feasted these families. The children got engaged, young school children joined with senior citizens at the senior center and made get well cards for the kids in the hospitals on Valentine's Day. And these are the pictures I'd love you to show. This one Montessori school gifted the children who were hospitalized at University of California, San Francisco Children's Hospital with beautiful handmade cards and Valentines. And here they are. These are the kids making their garlands for the room and much more. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And for me, they found community, they found strength. Here's the little girl with the next picture who's delivering her, there she is. And she's got her basket filled with Valentines for the little children upstairs. So, and it was nothing finer than for these cancer patients to feel that they had community support and to really get through that they were being looked after. So we came together and we shared a mission to care for our neighbors, and we held their hands in their hearts. And it was magnificent. And I want to say it to this: if anybody wants to do this in their communities, sign me up to help you out, because I know a bit about how to make it work and how to get the community to finance it. So it was great.
So somebody has written into the question, it isn't really a question, but they've said they just want to send you a note. And they say, thank you, Nancy, for all you do to support the cancer community. You are such a gift. And that came from Wendy Lettel. So, so you deserve your own kudos. Another question, a very good question that we get is, how does somebody send you a recommendation for an additional listing for the site?
Absolutely. Okay, here we go. The website's called nancyslist.org. All over the place, you'll see things of how you connect with me, and my email is nancy@nancyslist.org. I totally appreciate feedback as well as input, because I'm always working this list and trying to keep it as up to date as I can. I mean, I will say, even with these camps and the retreats and everything, you know, for a year and a half, everything has been kind of in limbo. We didn't even know if we'd have summer camps. Everyone's acting as if we're going to have them all the time, and I hope that's true, you know. But that's been difficult to sort of see places have closed down because they don't have the funding that they need to support the community. But please send me info. I want it.
Yeah, we definitely will. I mean, I've been working with somebody recently who has to go back onto a pretty expensive drug, which he's trying to get through the VA, but if he doesn't get it through the VA, it could cost him as much as $3 grand. So I think I have to send him to your co-pays and other medical expenses. Is that the right section? Or medication assistance?
Yeah, medication assistance. You know, you'll see there are lots of them, and it depends what her drug is too. You know, we can put that in. Maybe her pharmaceutical company can understand that and give her the drug.
Yeah.
EDMES has access to a lot of these drugs that are so costly, and that's another whole argument we could have. They're prohibitive. So, and you know, the man who told me he didn't take drugs anymore because he had to put food on the table, but he'd never told his doctor, so his doctor didn't have a real accurate sense of what was working and what wasn't. Nice to trust your doctor enough to tell the truth.
Well, I am going to send this gentleman the category list, and I'm going to tell him to go through it very carefully and see what he comes up with. Maybe he'll come up with something. So I think, any other questions from you, Alexa, for Nancy?
Well, Nancy had put in a special request, and I'd like her to explain this to our audience because I just loved it.
Okay.
How much fun were you having right here? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much fun were you having?
Such an incredible picture. Yeah. 12, 100. Yeah, that was it.
Oh, 100. Wow.
Well, I never thought I could do a skateboard. I mean, it was just like, I did. It was fun. Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay.
Nancy, one of the questions that I have is that at AnCan, we are really big on trying to end health disparities and our support groups trying to point people towards resources. And one of the things that I like is that you do have things by category so people can find resources that are best for them. And health disparities come in all different sizes, which you talked about with the financial. That's a health disparity. And we want to, I know with Nancy's list and AnCan is we want a world where the playing field is just much better. And so I'm really appreciative that there's all of these resources. We just have to make sure people know about them. So I'm sure Nancy's list, people, now we know better how to navigate it. Now we know better how to find what we're looking for. Is there any resources you would like to see more of in the cancer community?
Yeah, so happy you brought that up. I want more mental health in the cancer healing community. I really feel like, I promote cancer coaches. I promote, I want all these people because I think we're missing something. The emotional healing and the whole process of what you're going through. This is trauma, and it has to be dealt with as trauma. And there are ways to deal with trauma that, educated trauma specialists know. But I want people to have many more resources that expand their emotional well-being. And, I'm always pushing and asking for more psycho-oncologists, more psychologists who work in the oncology field, but to get on board. Anyone, and when you go through the list in the integrative thing, you'll see there's so many people who are addressing it from different angles. And, I don't want people to give up. If there's one thing that I know, I never gave up. And don't give up calling and ask, and applying for a loan or a scholarship or anything. Just don't give up, because it's out there. There's support in so many other ways, and it's exciting to be able to share these with your audience and to keep it moving. Send it to other people. I want everyone to know about it. And I'm sure there are more resources that I don't know about. So anyone who has them, please let me know, because I want to have them.
So Nancy, one of the things that we're working on right now is to encourage one of the big pharmaceuticals that does a lot of testing to add a team of psycho-oncologists so that when somebody is going through that testing process, they can call up and they can ask for assistance between the time when they order the test and the time when the test results come. They have that support. Most of these tests are genomic tests for precision medicine. And as you can imagine, people are very nervous when they go in for this test. And we're really pushing them, the patient advocates that they talk to are pushing them to create a psycho-onc team for their patients, for their customers.
Yeah. It should just be a bigger part of the whole mix, that we're the humanity part, the part that you're really touching someone's soul, and you're really, I know when I say I am with you, when someone talks to me and I say that, lights go up, it's just like that meant so much to them to hear those words.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons why everything that we do at AnCan is peer-based, because the fact that it's peer-based automatically means we're with you because we've been through it before and we understand it and we experienced it.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I don't know where we are on that list, but I know we're on there somewhere.
You are on there somewhere, and you might even get a bigger spot.
Okay.
Ooh, wonderful.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
And Alexa, you have to push this Nancy's list out through the AYA community, which you are so good at doing.
Absolutely. We need t-shirts, we need signs, I would even suggest bullhorns would be a great investment to try to let everyone know about Nancy's list, because this
Yeah.
really is, this is just like what Nancy was talking about with the medication or food on the table. For a lot of patients, this can really help us in dire circumstances.
Mhm. Yeah. And if
Okay.
anyone
Well,
needs
thank
a little
you.
support, I can give it. Okay. So
Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
for taking the time. Thank you for all the prep that you put in, for working with Alexa. We are so grateful to have done this, and maybe we'll think about doing it again next year, and we'll come up with some different ones to look at next year.
I hope. Let's keep adding. No subtracting, just keep adding. Thank you.
Okay.
My
Okay. Thanks a
honor.
lot. Alexa, I'll leave it to you to close out.
All right, wow. I don't think I've closed out a webinar before. Nancy, I just want to say thank you so much. It has been a pleasure working with you on this, and I want the whole audience to know that your passion and your dedication to this, you really want to improve the lives of our community, and you take ownership in our community. Doesn't matter by age, race, demographic, location wise, you want to help everybody. And AnCan is so proud, because that's what we want to do here too. AnCan is so proud that you're a member of our community, and we're just so proud to offer this tonight. And everyone, we will be uploading this particular list of some of Nancy's favorites online, and this is also being recorded, and we will send you a link so you can watch it. I want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and we have multiple support groups peer-to-peer that we would love to see you at. We have support groups nearly every day of the month, Rick, I believe?
Yep.
Nearly every day. So we can help and support you, because we are with you. And I just want to say good night and thank you so much for coming.
Good night.